Hello guys, welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to show you how to restrict a user from an application with the help of JWT token, right? So when a user logs in to the application, I showed you how to create a JWT token, right? We know all the applications have this login page and user has to enter their credentials, and when they click on login, the application will identify whether that user is a valid user. Okay, so do you know how they are restricting the users from accessing the application with the help of this token? So keep watching this video guys. I'm going to show you how to protect some routes and restrict the users from entering the application without the token, right? So let me show you the demo. I have a token here, right? So I copy this token. Now when I go to get permissions, so this is the get API for permissions page. Okay, so imagine when I call this API, I will get some data of permissions related to permissions. So when I click on send now, you see not authorized to access this resource, right? So if I'm not logged in, it will not show us the data that is sent as a response to this API. But now when I pass the JWT token as a bearer token, okay, now when I click on send, you should see some data sent back as a response, right? So this API is able to respond and send us back some data from the database only if it finds this token that is generated when user logs in the application. Okay, so how this is possible? So this is possible with the help of JWT token. The token is sent as a bearer token to the routes, to the other routes of the application, whereas the routes will get this bearer token, find whether the user already exists in the database, and if they are exist, it will allow them to request for that particular route and sends back the response. Okay, so imagine if I'm not a authorized user, I'm not a right user. Okay, I don't have a bearer token and I'm entering the application. Okay, and I'm looking for this API where I'll get all the permissions that is configured in the application. So when I try to explore this API, when I click on send, it will not give back the data that is there in the database, and it shows not authorized to access this resource, right? And when I pass the bearer token, it identifies the token and it senses this particular user is a valid user and sends back the response, right? So I'm going to implement this in this video. Going to the backend, I have a file created in the middleware folder called auth.js, right? So in this JS, I'm going to write a middleware function, and this middleware function will run before every route and it finds whether the user is a valid user. I'm going to show you how it works. So I'm going to import the user profile model from the models, right? So require /models user profile, and I'm going to import error response, async handler, and JWT. Okay, so I think in the controllers we have all the imports, so I'm going to copy paste error response, async handler for handling the errors, and I'm going to import JWT that we imported as a NPM package, require JSON web token, right? Not JWT. Right, so I'm going to have a function, middleware function, exports.protect is equal to async handler of async This is going to be an asynchronous operation, right? So async, an arrow function. Inside it, I'm going to have a variable called token, and I'm going to check whether the request has a authorization header and the header has the bearer token. So how am I going to do that? Is if request dot headers dot authorization, right? If it exists, and if the authorization header has the bearer token, dot authorization dot starts with bearer. Okay, so I'll bring this down, right? So if it exists, I'm going to set the token is equal to request dot headers dot authorization dot split. So have already shown you, right? The bearer token is sent like this, bearer space token, right? So I'm going to split this string with space so that the bearer gets separated and the token gets separated. Okay, I'm going to split it and I'm going to take the first index of that. So bearer will be the 0th index and the token will be the 1th index. So I'm going to check if the token is not present in the request headers. So I showed you the error message in the postman. So I'm going to return back that error message, which is return next of new error response of not authorized to access this resource, and the status is going to be 400. Okay, and if the token is present, I'm going to have a try catch block in which I'm going to do JWT.verify, which is the most important thing. So I'm going to have user data is equal to JWT.verify, and this is going to have the token as an input. Along with that, I'm going to send a JWT secret, right? So that we have in the env file, it is JWT underscore secret. Okay, so when I go to the .env file, I've already set it. So this is going to be the JWT secret. So the token along with this JWT secret is sent to this JWT.verify function, whereas it takes this token and verifies it, and if the data is found, I'm going to set that to request.user, right? Request.user await users dot find by id of user data dot id, right? So when I go to the models, okay, so whenever the token is created, I have set two data in the payload. One is the ID, which is the ID that is created in the Mongodb, and the name, which is the username. So here I'm querying the user model with that JWT token ID, right? That is set as data in the token. Okay, so when it goes well, I'll say next. So next is what? It executes the next function. This middleware will run successfully and it calls the next immediate function. Okay, so return. When some error occurs, I'm going to say the same that we have here. So I'll copy paste that. So I'm going to return this. Right, so our protect function is completed. Okay, so I go to the permissions routes. Yeah, this is a permissions route. I'm going to import uh, this middleware function. Okay, from require auth middleware / auth. Right, so inside it we have a function called protect. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this method before every API calls. So before this get, before post, so guys, what happens is whenever this function is called, whenever this route is called, right? So it calls this middleware function. It goes here. It checks whether the authorization header has bearer token. If it exists, it will verify and it takes a user record and sets that to this request.user object, and it continues with the next controller function. Okay, so when the token is not there in the request header, okay, what happens is we will get either this error, right? If the token is not present, it will give back this error message, or when some error occurs, it gives back this error message, and that is what happens here. So when I go here and I don't send the authorization and right authorization header, I get this error, right? So it says it goes to this block, this if statement. It finds there is no token in the request header, so it sends back this not authorized to access this resource. And when I send this authorization header with the bearer token, I get this record, right? So similarly for create, update and delete operation, the same will happen. So what happens when the token is wrong? So for example, delete this and click on send now. It says not authorized to access this resource. Okay, because the token is wrong. So when I send the correct token, it identifies the user and gives back the data. Okay, so in every application, only the register user route and the login route will not have the authorization header. Other than these two routes, all other functionalities, all other API calls should have the JWT token sent along the request as a bearer token. So guys, this is how an application will identify whether the logged in user is a valid user with the help of JWT token. So if the token is valid, the application will allow the user to access all the routes, and if the token is not valid or if the token is not present, the application will send them the not authorized message, and the user cannot enter application without the valid JWT token. So guys, I hope this video would have helped you in understanding how JWT token helps us to authenticate the user in the applications. So I will see you in the next video with another interesting topic. So guys, if you find the video is useful, please like the video, and also do not forget to subscribe my channel because it means a lot for me. So thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.